every time I make these, I swear to myself, never again. And then every couple of years I think, I really fancy making these. I never learn. Hi everyone, it's Tash and welcome to another recipe video, and this week we're making Teochew Flaky Taro Mooncakes. They are delicious, they are scrummy, and they are a pain in the butt to make. But I promise you, if you have the patience, they are absolutely worth doing homemade. The reason why I find these a bit of a pain to make is because I make the filling from scratch. If you want to skip that, you can buy red bean paste or sweet chestnut paste from the Asian supermarket. But if you want taro mooncakes with the taro paste inside, you do kind of have to make that because I haven't seen that sold anywhere. If you can find it, that's great. But for me, I have to make it from scratch. So I will show you how to do that. And not only do I make the filling from scratch, I also make the pastry from scratch. And the pastry is made out of two different kinds of pastry, which gives the swirly colour and the lovely crispy layers. So it does require patience and a delicate touch, but it's not actually hard to make, it's just a bit lengthy. Now, I last made these 2 years ago, and I did do a short recipe video for that back when I was doing really speedy recipe videos, so I'll link that up now if you just want the really abridged version. But if you want the detailed version, then stay here. And of course, as usual, I have the whole thing written down on tashcakes.com. Teochew, the Mooncake Festival, the Mid-Autumn Festival, is coming up in September, in a couple of weeks, so I thought it was a good time to revisit this. And on a selfish level, I just really wanted to eat Teochew Taro Mooncakes. So let's go to the kitchen and see how it's done. Of course, to make taro mooncakes, we need taro. And I have a whole taro root here, but you can find frozen and pre-sliced taro at a lot of Asian superstores. Usually I actually do use the pre-frozen sliced ones, but this time I actually managed to find a fresh one, also from an Asian supermarket, so let's cut this one up now. Just gonna top and tail it, and then we need to get that rough skin off. And you can already see the little purple flecks that are a signature of taro. Now I'm just going to rinse these and the board because I don't want any brown bits on it. Now I'm just going to check for any nasty little bits on it, and I'll get rid of those too. A little bit here. The skin is quite thick, that's why I like to chop it off with a knife. And it also helps to see any potentially bad bits so you can get rid of them. And we only need 400 grams of taro in this case, and I managed to get a nice big one. This was about 800 or 900 grams before it was peeled. So now that I've shaved it down and got rid of all the stuff we don't need, let's measure out 400 grams. Ooh, so close, 401 grams, but that is absolutely fine. And I've tried to arrange it in a single layer on the plate because now we're going to steam this until it's nice and soft. As for this, I'm just going to cook this off for dinner or something. Now I've got some water simmering in my wok. I am going to steam these taro slices for half an hour, or about half an hour, until they soften. So see you in half an hour. Hi again, our taro's been steaming for 30 minutes. Let's give it a bit of a poke just to make sure it is cooked through. Yep, that is nice and mashable. Now I'm going to rescue it from the heat, and we do need to work with it while it's warm, but it's still quite hot at the moment, so I'm going to wait 2-3 minutes, no more than 5, for it to cool down just a little bit. Now that our taro is still hot, but not too hot, we're going to blend it into a paste. So let's pop it into a blender, or you can use a food processor. And I'm going to add 100 grams of caster sugar and 70 millilitres of coconut oil. This is extra virgin coconut oil, but any coconut oil will do. And I'm going to give this a whiz until it's nice and smooth. Now we need to cook down our taro paste, which is very gooey at the moment, but not thick enough, until we can roll it into balls. So place it straight into a dry pan. And now we need to stir it and keep stirring it over a medium heat until it forms a kind of dough. And this is going to take some patience, so I will see you in a while. So this is what we're looking for. We're looking for a dough-like consistency that moves as a block by itself. And if you have a better pan than mine, it won't stick at this stage. This is a very old wok, and you can actually see me use this in my first recipe video where I made these and it wasn't sticking. But unfortunately this wok is quite old now and it doesn't hold non-stick very well no matter how much I season it. But anyway, this is the consistency you want, like a dough and not really sticking to the spatula anymore. So let's take this off the heat. Now we're simply going to pop this into a bowl and let it cool to room temperature. And it's very hot at the moment, so do not touch. And just let this cool down to room temperature. Now that our sweet taro paste is nice and cool, we're going to roll it into 20 balls. Which is quite a lot, but these are very tasty, so that's not a bad thing. So I like to take a teaspoon, like this, dig out a good chunk, and get straight in there with my hands. And that's it, you've got your 20 balls of taro paste, and my hands are very moisturised with all that coconut oil now. That's going to help them not stick. Now you have two options. You can go straight to making the pastry and baking, or if you're a bit tired like I am, I'm actually going to cover this with some cling film and pop it in the fridge overnight. Either way, you can choose either option. Now it's time to make our pastry, and as I mentioned before, we need two different types of dough to make this flaky pastry. We need a water dough, which is a dough that has water in it, and an oil dough, which doesn't have water in it, just has oil. Actually, both of them have types of oil in them, but the water one's the only one that has water, which is why we call it water dough. So let's make the water dough first. We need 250 grams of plain flour, and I'm going to add 30 grams of icing sugar to that. To that, I'm going to add 65 grams of unsalted butter, which I have melted and cooled a little bit. 50 millilitres of vegetable oil, and 65 millilitres of water. Now we're going to bring this together until it forms a dough. There we go. I haven't worked it too hard because I don't want to activate the gluten and for it to become chewy. We want it nice and light. Now that we have a dough, we're going to separate it into 10 pieces and roll them into balls. Yes, I said 10. Yes, we are going to make 20 pastries altogether. Trust me, you need 10 of these. And you will see why in a minute. There we go, 10 equalish balls. And each of these is going to become 2 pastries. Now let's make our oil dough, and this is the one we're going to colour and have some fun with. We've got 150 grams of plain flour, so this is going to be a little bit less than the water dough we made. 75 grams of vegetable shortening, which I've melted and cooled. I use Trex, by the way, but you might find Crisco more easily in the supermarket, depending on where you are in the world. A tablespoon of vegetable oil. This is a super oily dough, this one. And now we're going to add purple food colouring, but I go a step further and I use ube flavouring, which is very deep purple. Now, ube is a completely different root to taro. They're actually different. Sometimes people confuse them as the same, but they are different, so I'm cheating a bit. I couldn't find any taro flavouring that was also deep purple, so I'm just going to use this. And you know what? I do really love ube flavour as well as taro flavour, but if you want to be purist about it, then just use ordinary purple food colouring. And I'm going to add a generous dash. Not too much though, because we don't want to water it down. Start with a few drops first. And now we're going to bring this together as dough too. Now that that's all mixed together, I'm also going to divide this into 10 balls. And that's it, we have our 10 purple balls. Now it's time to preheat our oven. And we're going to preheat it today to 200 degrees C. And you don't have to do this, but I'm going to line my workstation with a bit of cling film, just to save on mess. Now for the fun part, we're going to roll up our pastries. Our water dough, our oil dough, and of course the filling we made, which I'm just going to put to the side here. To make that flaky layered pastry, we're going to put the oil dough inside the water dough first. So let's do that. We're going to make a little dumpling. And popping the oil dough inside, and we're going to close it up just like we're making a dumpling or a bao. Place it seam side down, and now we're going to roll this out into a long shape. Now we're going to roll this up this way like a sausage. So now we have a kind of sausage cigar shape. Let's just get this excess off, stick it back on. Don't worry about it breaking, by the way. But we're not done yet. So we rolled it up, it was this way. Now we're going to put it this way, so lengthways, and we're going to give it another roll. And now we're going to roll it up again. Just making it nice and neat and tidy, making sure that end is stuck as well as possible. Now we have a nice plump roll, and there'll be loads of layers in that. So to turn this into two, we are simply going to cut it in half. So put it this side down, and we're going to cut it this way. Straight in half. And now you can see all of those spirals inside. So let's take one, put it cut side down, and we're going to gently roll this like this into a circle. Pick that up. Now we're going to pop in the filling, and we're going to close that up like a dumpling too. Pop it seam side down, give it a little reshape. And you can already see that spiral. Beautiful. Okay, and I've got a lined baking tray, so a baking tray lined with non-stick paper to my side. I'm just going to pop that straight on. And we're going to do the same for this one too. So let me just grab another ball of filling. Got another ball of filling. Put the seam side down. Give it a bit of a spank. And a roll. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? It's a shame the sun's just gone and it started raining because the lighting's not that great. But you can still see that lovely spiral. So let's do that again and again with all of our balls until we've got 20 of these bad boys. That's all of these done. All 20 of my Teochew mooncakes. Oh, come on, focus. Focus. There we go. Now we're going to bake these for 12 to 15 minutes. It's been 12 minutes exactly for me, and I think these are just about done. And wow, I am so happy with those. The trick is you want to bake them just enough so that they're just starting to go golden, but you still want them to be quite pale. I'll give you a little zoom in so you can see all of those lovely layers. Oh, beautiful. Now we just need to let them cool down because the inside is going to be molten hot, so let's give them, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. They're good room temperature but also good slightly warm, so let's let these cool down. Wow, what an utter treat this is. Absolutely stunning. I'm so pleased with how these turned out. And on cutting through these you can just see how absolutely flaky they are and how lovely and soft that middle is. How perfect is that? Oh, I cannot wait to eat these. Okay, for all that trouble, now I understand why every so often I have the urge to make these. I'm so tired after all the energy that went into making the filling and the pastry, but my goodness, it is so beautiful. And it smells amazing too, so buttery and rich. And you saw how flaky that pastry is as well when I cut it. Amazing. Anyway, I'm going to take a bite out of this because Lord knows I worked hard enough for it, so cheers! So good. I love the malty earthiness of that taro, and it's pleasingly chewy as well, almost like a really tender mochi. And the pastry is so melt in the mouth and delicate because we have the two different types of pastry, because we made those two different types of dough and layered them, one with water and one without. They don't mix very easily together, and that's why you get such defined flaky layers, so it's well worth the effort. And of course that's how you get the stripes as well. So you can actually use other colours, not just purple, to make loads of crazy colours. And altogether it has such a subtle sweetness because we haven't packed it too full of sugar. That's why I really love East and Southeast Asian cakes. They're never too sweet, unlike Western cakes, which I do have a soft spot for, of course. I love me a good sponge cake, but these are just so delicate. So if you have a bit of time and fancy making some flaky pastry Teochew mooncakes, then do give this recipe a go. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you will join me next Wednesday for my next one. Get the full recipe on my blog tashcakes.com and give me a little follow on Instagram. I am tashcakes.tastes. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to see more. Give this video a like if you liked it to help other people find it. Comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I will see you guys next week. Be good, be nice, and have a good week. I know I hope. Ugh. What was that? Crumbs everywhere.